Hey everybody, I'm Tommy and you're on the lifeboat. What's happening? Let's see what we got, shall we? Shall we see what we have here? Motherbird, good to see you. Rona Cooley, how are you? Jason Parker, he is not Cesar Chavez. He is not. If I've heard, has Diddy lost any weight? No, you know what? I think so far he's probably putting it on. Picking up your food and hardly touching it does not a hunger strike make. This cat can't even get the rules right for a hunger strike, and we're going to go over them because you're damn right. He does not have them correct. No, we're not making fun of you. We make fun of no one. Who is Cesar Chavez? He was a gentleman that fought for the rights of migrant workers. Went on a very long hunger strike. I don't remember exactly how long, but it was a super, super long 100-day, according to Jason Parker. That's a long one. You're missing Reese's shopping stream for this? Uh-oh, don't tell her. Poof, 911. No freaking way. A narcissist of his magnitude would sacrifice or deprive himself of anything. Well, you could be right. Yeah, you could be right. Here's the deal, though. I've done a hunger strike. I have. I've actually done this. And the rules have changed a little bit since I did mine, but they have not changed a whole hell of a lot, actually. Got to take this off. And the reason is because I got this huge thing strapped around me that's cranking heat out. And I got the fan going and all that. Anka, good to see you. Tractor, what's happening? The cat lady from the country. My favorite kind of cat lady, actually. Aunt KK, good to see you. Cat ladies from the countries are awesome. Oh, dear, poor Diddikins. Said no one ever. That's pretty good stuff right there. That's pretty good stuff right there. Said no one ever. So here's the deal on this thing, right? We're getting a lot of stuff leaking out. There's a couple of channels that are fairly decent sized that are talking about this. Best cat dad ever. Ask Squirrel Nut Zipper, she'll tell you. Ask Squirrel Nut Zipper, she'll tell you. I keep 6 or 7 treats in a rotation. Almost, I'm not sure where she's at. You don't want to use the T word if you can't deliver. She'll get really angry. Jason P., good to see you. What's happening? Chase the Heat is in the building. That is the Johnny Scoville. So the word that has been coming out is that he barely picked at his Thanksgiving meal. On account of the fact that, number one, he's a little bummed out that third time was not the charm. Come on, you got to love that. Third time wasn't the charm, and the diddler had to stay in jail. That bummed him out quite a bit. And there's also been some talk that put him on the unalive watch. It has not. He is still in the population that he was in. It's not general. To be sure, it's not general. It's protective custody. But he is still in the PC that he was in. So that's what's up with not so dumb blonde. Good. My favorite kind of blondes are the not so dumb kind. Taylor Miller, good to see you. JC, what's happening? You've got more chance of getting struck by lightning than doing a hunger strike. Honestly, been waiting years on me. No, so here's what used to happen, right? Back in the day, here's how it used to work. If you said, hey, Sid Green, if you said that you're going to go on a hunger strike, you got to declare it. It's not that. I'm just going to pick at this thing a little bit. That's not how it goes down. You got to say to them, right? Back in the day, you had to say to them, hey, I'm done eating. This is a wrap. I'm not eating anything. It's very difficult to do in a unit. So if you tell them while you're in a unit like the one that he's in that, hey, I intend to go on a hunger strike, the first thing they do is grab you out of that unit and stick you in the shoe. And they'll make it a little worse than that. What they're going to do is they're going to put you in a cell that has no water. You heard me. It's called a dry cell. And it's usually where they put you if they think you just swallowed a bunch of contraband. If they think that you were coming through visiting and your girl gave you a kiss and you went and swallowed a couple of big fat bags of tar or the shabibble, the stuff that Waterford and Baccarat, you know what I'm talking about. Anywho, if there's contraband in there that you're in the process of swallowing and bringing it through there, they'll put you in a dry cell until you know what? Yeah, until you got to use the restroom. Then they'll have you go in a little bucket. And then a cop who probably thought that his life was going to turn out a lot better than this is going to have to take a little device and go through your your dookie to look for contraband. Now, that is where they would put somebody who says, hey, I'm going on a hunger strike, because they're going to monitor the amount of fluid and the amount of food going into your body. You hear me? So the first thing they do is make sure that there's no food in your cell of any kind. So you can't be in your population. You can't be in your normal unit, because you're going to be surrounded by people that went to store. So you could say, I'm going on a hunger strike. I'm not eating. Right? And they go, okay. 3 meals go by, 4 meals go by, 7 meals go by. They're going, damn. Well, if you're eating stuff on the side, you got people handing you soups and you're crushing them at 4 a.m., right? Looking around, doing them like prison popcorn. You're not cooking that bad boy. You're just tossing it back with a little bit of monosodium glutamate salt added for the kick. The old visitation kiss. That's right. Not so dumb blonde. The old visitation slider, where they it's not so much a kiss as it is a handoff. The Statue of Liberty play done with the tongue. But that's what they would do. They would take him out of the unit so that there's no way he can have any commissary. There's no way that any of the people that he's doing time with can slide him any food. They're going to put him in a unit where there is no one else around. And they're going to monitor the amount of liquid that goes into his diet. How do they do that? Well, they don't give you a sink, right? Then they can hand you, say, a quart of water 2 or 3 times a day, or whatever the amount is. And they monitor what you do with it. You can't pour it out. There's no sink. There's no toilet. And then you got to pee into a little urinal, right? The little the little portable urinals. It's got a little cap on it, and it tells you how much fluid, you're leaving your body. They're way more concerned when you go on a strike. They're way more concerned about you not taking fluid than they are about you not taking food. You can go a really long time without food. You'd be shocked, but you can't really go a very long time without beverage. Now, back in the day, if you went 9 meals, right, 3 days, they would then say, you're going to eat. And it's a liquid that they give you. And they say, you're going to drink this. And if you go, no, I'm not going to drink this, then they'll take you down to the local emergency room, the local, the closest hospital setting that they can take you to. And then they're going to shove a tube up your nose, down the back of your throat, and they're going to kick the hose on and just, pump a few quarts of, pump a few quarts of disgust down the back of your throat as a way to make sure that you're eating. Do the other inmates get in trouble for selling him their phone time? You betcha. Yeah, they sure do. They're all getting in trouble for it. He gets in more trouble, which is odd, right? You would think that, but the guy that buys the phone time is going to get in more trouble, and he's going to get in trouble for more than just the phone time. You had to have somebody put money on the books. These guys had to get paid. They didn't give up their phone time to be G's. Here you go, brother. You want to get around the censors? You can use my phone time. Here's my pack number. And it's not just, they report it in the press as it's just a matter of you give somebody your number and they go over to the phone and type, your number in like you're doing a prepaid call. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. You go over, you dial the number, and it says, say your name at the tone. So the tone goes and you go, Tommy Scoville, and it'll say you either matched or you didn't. If it matches, then it'll say this call may be recorded or monitored. This call is being recorded and monitored is what it says. If by some chance it doesn't match, they say to you, no, you got to do it again. No, you got to do it again. If you get a head cold, right? If you talk too much over the course of a weekend or you cheer during a football game and you start getting a little raspy on the back of your throat, you're not going to be able to match your the tone of your voice. And what's even worse? So the first time I went to the federal system, my first yard that I hit was just a holdover. In other words, on your trip going wherever you're going, I was on my way to Phoenix, Arizona, the FCI in Phoenix. On the way there, you stop off at prisons and spend the night. And sometimes you spend 2 days or whatever. You're waiting for the next bus to come through. And I was in the holdover at Victorville, the USP. I was in the holdover in Unit 1. So the trouble with that is it's loud as hell, right? It's like the shoe. It's just, around the clock, people yelling. So when I went to record my voice for the very first time, I recorded it with all of this background noise and people screaming. It was almost impossible to ever get it to accept my voice. I eventually had to fill out all kinds of paperwork. Hello, Kristen Melinda. Good to see you. I had to fill out a bunch of paperwork to get them to allow me to change my voice so that it could recognize my voice. It's really kind of a pain in the ass. But so everything we're hearing about the guy is BS. I'm sorry, but this is going to be constant. I promise it's going to be constant because there's just way too much in terms of clicks, right? My children, grandfather across Belfast done it too. Freedom of speech. A vote. It was bad in northern. Bernie Sanders, wasn't his name Bernie Sanders? Boy, that would be pulling it back, man. That's the 70s, man. Late 70s. Kimball Shanks, good to see you, but I think his name was Bernie Sanders. Paula Pendley, good to see you. Whine a little bit more. What's happening? Redeem. I'm not judging anybody. I'm not judging anybody, man. Look, the FBI are a bunch of scumbags. Sorry. I got done dirty by the FBI. So did everyone else I know. That's just kind of how it works. But what the diddler is doing, I honestly don't have a problem. Bobby Sands. There you go. Bobby Sands. There you go. I think it was Bobby Sands. His tummy's rumbling. Boo-hoo. Honestly, I don't think his tummy is rumbling. I don't think that there's any chance there's any truth to this. But if you do what I do for a living, right, you got to keep rolling out some Diddy stuff every couple of days. And if you have a big channel and you release something like this, then all the little channels jump on it and go, hey, Diddy's on a hunger strike. The difference is I've watched the whole hunger strike process before. You can send me an email, TommyScoville@gmail.com. My name, TommyScoville@gmail.com. Diddy's protesting the crappy food. Sir Tedrick Walker, you're probably closer to the truth, right? He's bent out of shape because he's not living the life that he wants to live. And you know what? Get used to it, Holmes. Seriously. You think it sucks now? You haven't even started the suck process. The rest of this dude's life is going to be hell, man. NC status forever. Now, I mean, don't get it messed up. He'll be able to buy a little bit of love. He will. He'll be able to buy a little bit of love. However, right? You're only going to be able to buy that for a brief period of time. I promise. It never works for an entire sentence. You know why? Because they just keep upping the ante. The mindset of somebody that's taxing a fool to live on a yard is this. Surely anybody that pays $1,000 a month to stay safe on a yard like this will happily pay $2,000. And that will go to anybody that pays $2,000 a month to stay safe here wouldn't have a problem paying $4,000. And that'll go to, and it's going to get to a point where this dude's putting so much money out that the BOP, he's not going to be able to pull it off without them realizing what he's doing. That's a lot of phone calls, man. That's a lot of phone calls. Hey, babe, I'm sending you a list of people's names that you need to do X, Y, and Z for. He's going to get caught. You can do some of it through visiting. I mean, I wasn't a good dude. I wasn't. I mean, I wasn't doing anything like the kind of dirt he's doing, but I was running, before I got sober, I was running illegal stuff in prison to keep myself high. I had poker tables and I had, sports books, usually stuff having to do with gambling, because if you had a little bit of money, it's a lot easier to take that money and turn it into a lot more money. And I know this is going to sound awful, but I kind of viewed it like Mother Teresa, if you want to know the truth. I was in there. It's like people doing time that have no direction whatsoever. There's only a couple of things that they do in order to keep themselves from going insane. And one of them is gambling. It's not healthy, especially knowing what I know now about addiction, but it's astounding how much gambling goes on inside prison. And it's usually not that big a deal because For the most part, you're not betting with money you don't have. The exception to that rule is poker tables. You can get into a lot of trouble at poker tables because you can't say to somebody, all right, show up with $500 and lay it out. You kind of have to do poker on credit. To some degree, you have to. Yeah, most of them are using Cash App. Yeah, Cash App. Before Cash App, Green Dot was really big when they first started doing stuff street to street. I know that in the state, it's a little bit less restrictive than it is in the feds. What I mean by that is that in the feds, every single call, you're never going to get away with anything in the feds. You're not. You might get away with it for a month. You might get away with it for 5 weeks. What's happening is it just hasn't gotten to that part of the system where they're writing everybody up. Like I remember we figured out that it was about $190 a month, right? For 300 minutes of phone time. That was what it costs for me to call my girl every single month, just in prepaid phone time. By getting her a local number through Google. So I got a Google number that was for her, but it was a local number. So now instead of having a long distance exchange, I'm dialing a local number and it's piggybacking to her in another state. And it saved about $160 a month, right? It was dramatic how much money it saved. I went from like $190 a month to $30 a month. And I thought, boy, it's great. I was getting away with it. Everything is groovy. I'm not in any trouble with the feds. And then booyah, they got me. And they got everybody in the entire prison on the same day. I kid you not, man. They got everybody because, it's just you save a ton of money. Now, why do they not want you saving money? Why do they want you having to pay out the wazoo? I think the idea is that any of these things that forward a phone or do any of these things, it just looks like you're trying to get around the BOP, and that's what pisses them off. When does the penny drip? This is your life. When does the penny drop? I would say that currently Diddy is in a place where he has to be very, very aware right around now of where he's at in life. I think that the Hail Mary pass, I'm going to get out on bail, and that's going to give me an opportunity to either pay people off to bump off my guards or for me to try to go down the drain pipe, to do whatever to get to the street so that he can run like hell. I think that all of this, Italy, good to have you in the building. We're on the boat. I think that this has been his Hail Mary. This has been his ace in the hole. And if it didn't happen, then he's screwed. That's where he's at. Oftentimes, those guards will bring them small cell phones. Yeah, but they share them youngins trying to impress Diddler, etc. They said that he had a cell phone in the unit. I have not seen that backed up. I didn't see them. I haven't seen it on paper yet. I'm not suggesting that it's BS. I tend to believe it. Tiger Bomb patches. I'm going to have to look into that, Pete. Thank you. So here's the beautiful thing. With the penny drop, you ain't ever getting back out. Appeals past the last, because this could be on mental health for a long time, considering the man here's the deal on this, right? I think that with Subramanian, with the judge that we have right now, this is going to be a very unique situation that when it comes time for the appeal process on this, normally there's a lot more gray area. This judge writes opinions on everything, right? This judge, it's like he's expecting the appeal process to start immediately, and he's not going to allow any wiggle room at all. That's the best case scenario you could have for a judge in a case like this, right? Because this is going to be a case where they're throwing money at this puppy like nothing you've ever seen. They're talking about this as the $100 million. Did you like my DJ voice on that? There's the $100 million defense. It's frightening, isn't it? It's a ton of cash. Will somebody be messing with Diddy's food? Will he be surviving on some packages that he can buy? Well, he's limited in how much he can buy in the unit that he's in now. If he was on a regular yard, he could spend about $380 a month. And done properly, $380 a month, you absolutely can feed yourself. But you have to be, it takes a while to get smart enough to do that. Because there's a lot of stuff that you have to learn what to buy. Looking forward to that forensic psychologist channel when she begins interviewing survivors. I'm looking forward, and I think a lot of people are, to what's coming soon. And I do believe it's coming soon, peeps. I believe it's coming soon. We are going to start seeing names come out of this, whether they want it to or not. It's going to happen. It is. And we're already starting to see a little of this starting to unravel. Pete says, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. I hope he gets rinsed of all of his cash. Well, I'm going to tell you a couple of things real quickly on that cash stuff. Number one, don't believe the hype, right? This guy was never a billionaire. Now, he had slightly more than I did. I'm not busting the guy's chops. I have not really broken up into the hundreds of millions yet, or the tens of millions, or the millions at all. But the point is, this cat here didn't have $1 billion, in spite of the fact that Diageo allegedly paid him $1 million. The spirits brand that was the parent company of Ciroc. How'd I do there, peeps? Did you get that? Ciroc and De Leon, the tequila company that we all kind of thought the diddler owned, didn't we? I mean, isn't that kind of how it looked? Like he was throwing those Ciroc parties. But apparently he wasn't the one throwing them. It wasn't his brand. He was just pushing the brand and getting a damn good override for pushing them. And you know something? You can say what you will about Diddy. He's an easy guy to hate. Hello, Saloni. He's an easy guy to dislike. But if you hired that fool to push cases of booze, then you did well, because that guy can move an awful lot of liquor. Like, he was very, very successful in putting Ciroc on the map as a brand. And then it evolved, and he kept rolling out with flavors and all this crap. And what he did, allegedly, he made them so much money that he was paid $1 billion. He wasn't happy with that. And he cried racism, right? I think personally, and I've talked about this ad nauseum already, but I believe that they went out of their way to stop pushing because they didn't want to end up in court, right? They saw the writing on the wall. I think a lot of people saw the writing on the wall, especially those who had a lot of money to spend, right? A lot of money to blow. Yeah, he was a billionaire on paper, but according to Forbes magazine, on the cover of Forbes magazine, according to Forbes magazine, and this is kind of their get down, you know what I'm saying? This is what they do. They see how much money people have. They make a big list of them every year. But according to Forbes magazine, 700 million was about the most that this cat was ever worth. Now, whenever they talk about someone being worth that kind of money, right? If you talk about Elon Musk and the amount of money he's worth, he couldn't go down to the bank and withdraw a quick $20 billion if he needed to, right? What he has is a bunch of stock that's worth this much money because that's what it's trading at today. And then stock in another company that's trading. Well, the diddler had Revolt. That was his television, I guess, or production company anyway. It was sort of a network, TV network of sorts, Revolt TV. And then he had the Bad Boy music catalog. He had everything he was doing with Diageo and these liquor brands, right? And then he had Sean John. Okay, well, all of these things are gone. The glasses, nobody's selling them anymore. The perfume, gone. The cologne, nada, right? Sean John's out of business. If you go and look at Bad Boy Records, their Manhattan office, it looks like something from a zombie apocalypse movie. For real, like the signs and crap are on the floor. It's trashed. It looks like it's been vandalized. They've been shut for a long time. There's no money there anymore, people. It's gone. He took a settlement in the Diageo case for $200 million, right? And again, nothing to scoff at. It's, a $200 million settlement puts him at about $200 million more than I have. The point being, though, I'm not out there claiming billionaireism. This guy's not Johnny Scoville. I've Googled your net worth, fool. I know what you're worth. You can stop it. You're the rich Scoville. I'm on to you, man. I'm on to you, man. So, but the deal with this guy is pretty cut and dry here. I think Diageo pulled the plug because they saw the writing on the wall, as did everybody else. And now he sits in a prison cell, and his money is dwindling because there's nothing coming in, right? Zilch. Everything is going out, right? He's paying for private investigators. He's paying for what do you call those people that go around bribing people dressed like the guys from Men in Black? We got a nickname for those people? Somebody creative, get us a nickname for the Men in Black guys. But whoever, he's got to be putting up cash for all of these people that are running around trying to taint the jury pool. We only need one, Rodney. We just need one. Karma Chameleon, how are you? Doing well, doing well. Sounds like he wants to unalive himself. Yeah, you know something? I think that the realization that this is over is probably going to start sinking in. But the one thing you got to remember about the diddler is this guy is delusional, right? And he has spent a great deal of his life wildly delusional. He believes, I think he believes that the law doesn't apply to him. And this is something that happens to the ultra rich and the ultra privileged, right? Think about it. The incident that happened with Shine Barrow and with J-Lo back in the end of the 1990s. It was a little later than this. It was just after Christmas when that shooting took place in the nightclub, the one that put the bullet fragments in Natanya Rubin's face. The one that sent Shine Barrow to prison, right? The diddler's been doing bad stuff for a very long time, and he's been getting away with it. Allegedly, he had crap loads of police departments on the payroll. This has been alleged. His pictures are hanging up inside the police departments, right next to chief of police, the guy that gets the cool parking space, employee of the month, whatever, and then the diddler. And there's a lot of reason to believe, if you listen to Gene Deal, right, his former bodyguard, and a couple of other cats that seem to know the guy real well. Suge Knight also said he agrees that the diddler probably had some kind of a relationship going with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. He was doing something with the feds. He certainly, allegedly, handed them the entire Shine Barrow case on a silver platter in a middle envelope on a silver platter. Honestly, that's what's alleged, right? That he handed the entire case over. Just go through it page by page. Here you go. Here's your witness list. Here's what you call. Here are the questions you ask. Here's what they're going to tell you. Bow on it. Right? Now that package put Shine Barrow away for 8 years. Pissed him off, I would imagine. It was a 10-year sentence, right? Pretty ugly stuff, man. Pretty ugly stuff. Rule of 3, a person can survive 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, and 3 minutes without air. Yeah, that sounds about legit. Yeah, how long do you think he can survive without people worshiping his worthless carcass? Honestly, this is the kind of narcissism that we don't see very often in the real world. And that's probably a really good thing. You know what I'm saying? This is the kind of guy that can scare the crap out of you. I'm not being funny. This is the kind of guy whose narcissism has cost a crap load of people their lives. Allegedly. Right? 10 years sober. Good for you. Not So Dumb Blonde. 10 years is epic. You know, the day is coming for the diddler. He's going to be sitting in jail, right? And the appeals are going to run out. Let me tell you something about the feds. By the way, 10 years, fantastic. Let me tell you something about the feds. Once your appeal is done, your appeal is done, right? I've talked about this vis-a-vis Derek Chauvin, the guy that is currently doing time here at the super high-profile PC unit at the FCI Tucson. This is the guy that put his knee on the gentleman's neck, right? Floyd, that started the riots and all of that stuff. Derek Chauvin. If new evidence came out tomorrow, it wouldn't do a damn thing. Once you have exhausted your appeals, you're never getting back in there for an appeal. Your only hope at that point is ineffective counsel to get back in there and say, my attorney sucked. That can always get you back into court. But other than that, you get one shot at this. This isn't going to be like the appeals that you see in the state, you know, where there's like, you know, all the different things they file. And he's going to get one shot at appealing his sentence. And when that appeal is done, and they come back and say, sorry, Mr. Combs, but, you know, your appeal didn't do squat. You're stuck. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. That doesn't mean, by the way, that doesn't mean that there won't be lawyers out there lining up to take his cash, right? Post-conviction attorneys. They always creep me out, to be honest with you. If you're a post-conviction attorney, don't send me hate mail. I don't like you either. I'm kidding, but I'm not. You know what I'm saying? There's something very vulture-y about that to me, if you ask me. Do I think he's in a position to cut a deal to get a shorter sentence? Yeah, I do. But he better start talking every day that they get closer to going to the box, right? Going to trial. Every day that they get closer, he's losing leverage. He is, plain and simple. He's losing leverage. And the problem with the diddler, right? I think that the biggest problem with the diddler is he is so arrogant. He's such an egomaniac. You think he'd be willing to do how much time? Because I've thought about this. Let's say they came to him and said, all right, we want Clive, right? I'm not saying Clive Davis is a dirtbag with cloven hooves and carries a hay fork. Oh, come on. It's a pitchfork. Whatever. You know what I'm saying. But if he were to give up Jay-Z or he were to give up Clive Davis or he were to give up somebody huge, right? Yeah, that might give him some time off of his sentence. But he's farting around. He better get on it. You know, he better get on it. The closer they get, if you sit and think logically and go, how much would they have to cut that dude a deal for his ego to work? 5 years? You think he could do 5? You think he would be content to sit in a cell and do 5 years? Because I don't think he'd be content to sit in a cell and do anything. Right? He's the king. This dude doesn't live like other people. He lived like he thought he was a friggin' emperor. It's kind of frightening. But he took whatever he wanted. He did whatever he wanted to whoever he wanted to do it to. And again, I can't beat this to death enough. It's not about sex. You shouldn't call it freak offs, man. It's attempted murder of souls. And I don't know what he gets out of it. I don't know if if there is that kind of psychic vampirism where he's stealing the innocence, right, from kids or whatever he's doing. He's a sick SOB anyway you shake it. But the fact is, this is really obviously not about sex, right? It's about evil and a lot of other stuff, but it's got nothing to do with sex. He'd have to tell on the higher ups to be sure, not so dumb blonde, but he'd have to get on it. Jesse Smollett tried to start a race war and it worked. You know, the Jesse Smollett thing is here's the thing on the Jesse Smollett thing. You know, I've seen videos that people have come out and said, see, he's vindicated. Man, pay attention. That's not at all what happened in this. There's a procedural problem is what they were talking about. What he did is what he did. And you know what? That was one of the dumbest things I ever saw, man. They came to get him and he still had the noose around his neck. He was wearing the thing like a tie. He had it on for 30 minutes or some shit. I mean, this is the dumbest thing in the world. I'm sorry. It just is. Yeah, you know something? When he gets to the real penitentiary, folks, when Sean Combs gets to his forever home, it's going to be a much different world for him. I'm not telling you that in the first 3 days he's there, someone's going to attack him. I don't think that's very realistic. I think Diddy will probably get 6, 7 months in there, 8 months in there. When Diddy's going to be in trouble is when he starts getting really comfortable, right? When he starts clowning and cracking jokes with people and acting like he's home. That's when people are going to start getting real salty. You watch. They're going to get really salty. Layla. Good to see you, Layla. Well, as far as the offshore accounts go, it's a lot more difficult to lay that stuff out than you think it is. And I say this because I know a ton of people that have been to prison who lost everything that they had stashed, all of the stuff that their financial advisors and their attorneys and it's set up. You got nothing to worry about. We've got this through 5 shell corporations, and they're pretty good when they want. Hello, Millie the dandelion. When they want to get your assets, they're going to track your assets down and they're going to take them, man. I agree with you, Redeem. Redeem says his boys are also dangerous. I agree with you to an extent, right? I think that they're very dangerous to women, right? I think that those kids are dangerous to women, and we're seeing that play out. I think that in a lot of ways they're a chip off the old block, right? They have watched their old man live like this. What do you think that's going to do? I certainly wanted to be my dad. I did. I think that that's kind of normal behavior very often. But what if your dad's this dude? Allegedly. Yeah. He's on freak off videos with his kids. Did you just hurl a little bit in the back of your throat? Because I did. It's just friggin' foul, man. When does a hunger strike really work? I'll tell you what. It occasionally they'll tap out and give you what you want, but not very often. Learned behavior, Helen is right. I think that they would give him a deal, Lisa Trimble. I do think that they would give him a deal. I don't think they would give him a deal that would be good enough for him to actually be willing to accept it. I mean, with what they've got, with what this dude's facing, 20 years would be a deal. You give up everybody that you know, and we'll give you 20 years in the joint so that you actually have a shot of seeing freedom again, of breathing in free air. Because I'll tell you something, right now, his odds of ever breathing free air again, if there's anything there, it's getting real thin real quick, right? For real. There's not a lot of hope left. And we haven't even really scratched the surface. Universal One says, I've done 5.5 years in prison and the guys with money controlled everything. I did about 13 years in the feds, the system that he's going into. And I saw guys with unlimited amounts of money that couldn't really get crap done. The feds is just, I didn't see it. I really didn't. I didn't see it. And I saw people with a ton of money. You can absolutely buy yourself a little bit of, I wasn't on the kind of yards he was on either. But I'll tell you this, the special needs yards in the feds, you're going to get, there's 3 of them, right? There's one in Florida, there's one in Tucson, and there's one in Indiana. One of those 3 facilities is where this guy is going to end up. And there are people on those yards that are killers, right? The Larry Nasser comes to mind, right? He's the guy that assaulted all of those gymnasts, right? Just a stone cold piece of human trash. But everywhere they send him, he gets beat, punched, stabbed. It just keeps happening. He's getting bounced back from place to place, and he just continually gets the crap kicked out of him or gets stabbed. It's he's not a guy without means. He's fairly well off. When you pop up onto people's radar, the last thing in the world your car wants, and you've done time, right? the last thing in the world your car wants is to look like you're the scumbag car of the entire prison system, right? You're going to let this dude walk. It's a lot of pressure on his car. It's a lot of pressure on the fellas to say, you're going to handle this, or you're just going to let this dude walk the yard for real, man? So glad for Larry Nassar, Megan. Yeah, me too. Any news on allegedly DNA test paternity on Diddy's children? Apparently 1 or 2 from Misha. Well, the Misha thing is getting. I'm going to hold off on saying anything about Misha until I've got a little bit. Until I got a little bit more info, because I'll be honest, there's a lot there that doesn't make any sense, unfortunately, and that's kind of a problem. Yeah, he does have millions, Universal. There's no question about it. And the problem becomes in the federal system. The problem becomes that you got to get that money to the people that are going to protect you, right? You got to get that money to the people that are going to protect you. So you're talking about moving large sums of money that you're going to have to spit orders out. And if you start doing that over a phone and you say, I need you to send, X amount of money, or you need to reach out to this person, they will clap your ass down so quickly. And if you get caught doing it more than once, they send you to what's called the CMU, which is the Communication Management Unit. They are proud as hell of the fact that they don't let people with cash do soft time in there. Gucci Mane was there. He did time in the feds. There's been a couple of rappers. T.I. did some time in the feds. I'll make a lot of friends talking about that. I'm not going to talk about any of those people. But anyway, all the money should go to the victims, Sir Tedrick. I think everybody agrees with you. That's what should happen. The money should definitely go to the victims. Now, will it? That's a little different question. That's a great question, isn't it? What happens if he starts out rich? Well, the only thing that's going to keep this dude safe when he gets there is the ability to spread money around. Jimmy Nuwabi did a 19-hour hunger strike today. I hope your demands were met. Jimmy, I hope your demands were met. It's nothing worse than a hunger strike that doesn't come through. His favorite prison game is Monopoly because he can get out of jail free. I think the one he's going to get really good at playing is actually Battleship. Battleship's a big prison game because you can draw the little dots on the wall and then you can scream the stuff between cells. That and chess, but I don't know. I don't see Diddy as the chess playing type. I could see him playing cards, smacking cards down really loud, playing spades, or even dominoes, slapping the dominoes down. He impresses me as one of those guys that gets really loud in the day room, makes you want to kill him. Saw a podcast today saying that Adria English is going out with Quincy. Kevin, I'll be sure. Yeah. Hadn't seen anything. Yeah. This is, she has said that she is dating Quincy Combs. What? Yeah, allegedly. And she even said some really weird stuff about it too. That, what a better way to get back at, I'm sorry, peeps. I'm struggling with those folks. You know something? I wouldn't be surprised by this, and I'm not even being funny. I would not be surprised because this is not the kind of place that you're normally going to see in prison. He is in this ultra protective custody unit, right? I would imagine that anything goes in a place like this. Anything goes in a place like this. I'm sorry. I'd make me laugh. Bev Miller says, let's give it to you, Bev. What do we got? Bev is still angry. Jaguar was so horrible to Misha. That girl has been through hell. And it's very easy to understand that drug. Do you forget dates? Jag was terrible to her. Well, she certainly spoke her mind. I won't put myself into her shoes. I do know it's frustrating sometimes to hear stories about yourself that there's no truth to. It's something that a lot of content creators I think have been through in their life, where you hear something again and again where you're like, that didn't happen, man. And I don't know. The longer you do this, the more you realize that when people talk crap and say stuff that didn't happen, your best bet is to just go, eh. Honestly. But why do they smack the cards down? It's extremely childish. Drives me insane. Makes everybody in the unit really, really angry, but they do. They smack those cards down. Oh, I hate it. Oh, I hate it. Yes, unfortunately, here's the deal on there's a lot of misinformation surrounding those ladies, right? And I don't mean Jag. I'm talking about the other ladies. And I'm not saying that these women were not assaulted. It's not what I'm saying. I promise you, it's not what I'm saying. But there's a lot of questions that need to be asked and answered. And until those questions are asked and answered, I'm gonna steer away from that. But I'm not going to condemn anybody for anything until it sort of gets ironed out in the wash, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean, huh? You know what I mean? Yeah. One can hope. He doesn't know what hunger is. Okay, quickly. He won't even, it's not even going to be a thing. He's not going to start it. It sounds so great. It sounds like such a good, I'm not eating anymore. I'll show these, people, and they're going to have to fill paperwork out. And, there's usually somebody to pump you up and get you all kind of excited about the prospect of doing a hunger strike or doing something stupid like that. And then you start going through the process and you realize that the Bureau of Prisons lacks a sense of humor about everything, right? And it's a very easy situation to find yourself with the BOP angry at you. He's not having a hunger strike. He's throwing a temper tantrum. Janet, there you go. I think that pretty much sums it up, doesn't it? Angie, this is an interesting take. I think ultimately Jag did Misha a favor. Jag was right to say her story is for her to tell in therapy, not in public. I felt Jag was protecting her a bit. Yeah, it probably didn't start well, but I think that's probably what's good. Diddy is such a drama queen. He wants attention from the press. Also, he can get any commissary he wants. True. Now, if they put him on a hunger strike, if he says I'm going on a hunger strike, they remove you from general population. I know he's not in general population. I'm just saying what the policy normally is. They take you out of a situation where you can have food in your cell, and they bring you to the SHU, to the segregated housing unit, put you in solitary confinement in a cell that has no toilet, no water, no nothing. And they monitor what you eat. Every time the food is brought to you, they will dump that food inside your cell, right? They will not say, hey, do you want this? None of that crap. They'll open the cell door, they'll put your food on the floor, and they'll keep it there until the next meal. And they'll remove it and put the next tray down so as to monitor exactly what you're eating, to make sure that if it's a hunger strike, it's actually a hunger strike and not some dude just trying to, do a Diddy. Will DEA Williams drop more indictments before he resigns this month? I would say probably not, but it's not going to have a great deal to do with him anyway. He is the head of the the office of the Southern District of New York, right? But he has nothing. He's not running this case by any stretch. There's a reason that it was handed off to the women that it was handed off to. And it's because, number one, they're really good at what they do. And number two, they're women. And I promise you, it makes a huge difference when you're prosecuting a scumbag like the diddler. He's been put into timeout by society. Yeah, I love that. Right? It's where that cat deserves to be, is in Put in timeout by society. Peace from NB Canada. Blair, glad you're here. Yes, Larry Nassar is getting his own personalized internal adjustments, and they're not going to stop. I promise you they're not. Until they kill him. Somebody's going to get him. Larry Nassar is going to get it. He's going to get perforated one of these times, and the perforation is going to catch him in a place that it's supposed to. The last couple of times, he's been very fortunate, but I don't see it. It doesn't continue. That kind of luck runs out. Diddy wants king crab claws. Instead, he'll be getting crabs. The Diddy. I don't like Diddy. That's a shirt waiting to happen. Last time out for Diddy, Sir Tedrick Walker. This is one of those things, people. This is one of those things that we're going to see. We're going to see a lot of people that are going to dig up a lot of crap to keep us amused, because between now and Cinco de Mayo, that's right. You think, I mean, it is kind of perfect timing, especially for De Leon tequila, right? He's in theory, he's going to be starting his trial on Cinco de Mayo. Yeah, right. That's a I don't know. I kind of dig it. I think that there's room there for some advertising. Like, this guy's good at that. They should use this whole Cinco de Mayo thing to push some De Leon tequila. No? Is it me? Ciroc, I think, is gone, but we could still push the De Leon. 10 IRA prisoners starved themselves to death in Ireland in the 80s. Diddy's game is an insult to them. Yeah, I think we were speaking of one of them earlier. Sands. Barry Sands? Barry Sands. It's going to be really amazing how quickly his life is going to spiral out of control. I think the only the one thing that could get us to see more indictments before December 31st. December 31st is when, in theory, the prosecutor is stepping down. It's also, in theory, when they're supposed to have the last of the discovery over to the defense. If they don't think they're going to make that deadline, then I think we're probably going to see some superseding indictments. I do, because it's the easiest way in the world to jerk the e-brake on that. Cooter by the Lake, good to see you. The Bobby Sands, there you go. The fastest way to jerk the e-brake on something like this is to hit him with some superseding indictments. And I think there's so much that has come out allegedly having to do with underage people. We had the 13-year-old girl that was at the after party for the AMA. That's the girl where allegedly there was another couple. There was Diddy and another man and a woman that watched, right? There's also the 9-year-old boy. There's also the 13-year-old boy. There's the 10-year-old boy. There are so many lawsuits that are currently pending that have to do with people who are under the age of 18. That will destroy Diddy's defense. Out the window. Gone. Because the defense is going to be, and they've telegraphed this from Jump Street, the defense is what? Consent. The defense is, yeah, we're freaks, and what we do is disgusting. No question, right? With all the baby oil and the weirdness and the hiring, male sex workers to come in, and the girls painting their fingernails white to contrast the, hey, how you doing? Yeah, it might not be your get down, but don't kink shame us. It's what we do, and we're in love, and this is how it is. And what you saw at the Intercontinental Hotel, that was a 1-minute snapshot of a 10-year relationship that very often was volatile in both directions. Honestly, this is their line of crap. She was smacking him around a lot too, apparently. Let me know how that works out with the jury. For real. You think that one's going to play? Because I don't think that one's going to play. But that is what they're saying, that this is just about some consenting people that have really weird sex. That don't judge him because your sex and his sex are different. Cassie was into it. That's their defense. Throw a kid into the equation and you can't have consent anymore. Right? I think we're going to see that. I think that we're going to see a superseding indictment, and the superseding indictment is going to be because of underage people. He's going to be so ashy in there. Great. It really is. That's great. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. That's funny. Ashy Larry. If Diddy is found guilty, will they go after the doctors that helped him? Yeah, they can. They absolutely can. He's going to be so ashy in there. I love that. I love that. I love that. I'm telling you, there's a t-shirt waiting to happen as well. Diddy turns ashy Larry. If Diddy is found guilty, will they go after the doctors? Let's hope so, right? Let's hope so. We're going to have to find out where this 1,000 bottles of crap comes from, right? Because I'll be honest with you, it's a very easy recipe to make on the street if you have the right ingredients. And believe it or not, one of the ingredients is floor stripper, and a kind of water, right? Then you mix the two and you just keep adding a little bit more or a little bit less of one versus the other until you get to the pH. It's a very simple recipe. So in theory, I mean, they could have been getting it from a doctor. They could have been making it. They could have been buying it. It's going to be hard to tell. But where did the pneumonia come from? Well, the theory behind that is that they use a poison to kill their enemies. They don't want to use so much of the poison that they die from poisoning. They want to use enough of it to really lower the person's ability to fight off any infection. They get to decimate their immune system. And then what ends up happening is they end up dying of pneumonia because their body doesn't have the ability to fight that. That's the theory. Happy Blow, good to see you. Yeah, Jamie Foxx is another one that allegedly was poisoned, right? 2 types of pneumonia. Well, yeah, there's the one of them they talk about lobar pneumonia, but truth be told, unless you're looking, unless you know that the pneumonia you're looking at might be caused by poisoning, you're probably not looking at it the same way anyway. You know what I'm saying? You kind of have to look at it through the eyes of, hey, this person may have been poisoned. And I know that there's a lot of talk about bodies being exhumed, things happening with Kim Porter and her body. We're really going to, it's going to be interesting to see how this transpires. Jonathan Audie, it was liquid Coca-Cola in the liquor bottles. That is what he said. However, very much like one of the things we were talking about earlier, right, is that these memories, this is a guy that went to a lot of these parties. He knew there was drugs in the bottle. They may have told him it was the cocaine, or maybe he misheard them, or whatever the case may be. But he did seem to know that there was liquid drugs in bottles, to be sure, right? Yeah. Poison starts with Big Homie said he had 3 attacks. Popular choice for certain spies as well. Yeah. Do you think this girl, Misha, and Adria are going to cause a problem for true victims? Because I believe these 2 women are liars. I believe these 2 are just trying to get money. I think that anytime someone can have the theory that you're having, and I think that a lot of people who hear what you say are going to go, I can see that. Even if they may not agree with what you say. I don't think that there's a lot of people that wouldn't understand why you're saying it, right? That's a problem, isn't it? It's a problem. If it's damaging the true victims, if we are sitting here and having this discussion, then yeah, I think absolutely it's damaging the real victims. Are these women just out for money? Is it a scam? I can't answer any of that stuff, but I understand why you're saying it. There are things that have been said that don't add up. I don't know that I'm ready to make the jump to these women have never been assaulted. I don't think I'm ready to make that jump yet. And, but for the time being, I'm definitely ready to say that there are a lot of holes in the story. And there's a lot of questions that need to be asked and answered. That I will stick with. And I think that anytime we start having a conversation about whether or not somebody is doing something to make money, and there's a bunch of other people around that are victims, then that's a frightening road to go down. It really is. It's a frightening road to go down. They do have cocoa butter in the commissary. They'll be all right. They do have cocoa butter in commissary. It's a very popular scent. They sell a lot of it. Let Bubba feed Diddy and general population, says Rick. Yeah, I don't think old Diddler's going to make it to GP, unfortunately. But I will say this. He's going to end up on a yard that's close to PC. I mean, that's close to GP, rather. It's a PC yard. It's a special needs yard. But there are going to be people on that yard who were drug dealers and gangbangers and enforcers for gangs, right? All of these things, those people end up on special needs yards. It's just how it works. They don't have a yard for the Diddies, a yard for the for the gang dropouts, a yard for all of those people fall under the umbrella of special needs yards, right? And I knew guys that were stone cold killers that somehow got into a problem with their gang. You heard, if you've paid attention to the shows I've done here on the boat, Casper got sent out and did a hit on the wrong dude, right? Now all of a sudden you go from being one of the fellas to having a hit on your head. Doesn't make you soft. It just makes you hunted. And those people end up on yards, the kind of yards that Diddy is going to end up on. And that's just how that works, man. Are the Diddler family squandering his dough before the impending court cases? I think that they're doing everything within their power to blow every penny they can, but it doesn't seem to me like he's doing a very good job. He didn't set his family up well, right? We've already heard stories of the kid not being able to make his car payment. Poor kid, going to take his Bentley. Hate to see that. But these are kids that I don't know that they can take care of themselves. It's going to be interesting to see. Seems like dad did most of everything. Thank you, Christy Hughes. It's greatly appreciated. The daily donation. Misha and Adria have both said they just want justice, no money. Adria did say she could have a real shot. Her boyfriend did okay. She is still pursuing art and singing. I've heard these things as well. We're gonna see a lot of people, right? We're gonna see a lot of people that weigh in on this, on both sides of this equation. I am going to wait to hear from the two ladies involved. I am gonna look forward to hearing what they have to say. I'd like to hear their answers to the questions that are being asked, because until those are answered. Yeah, his boys are banned from renting any houses for parties. Yeah, it's probably a good call. Yeah, well, we're going to be doing Night Yard tomorrow. We'll have everybody back. So tomorrow will be a good night for the Night Yard. Hopefully, I will see all of you there. Yeah, I honestly am of the firm belief that his kids are not burdened by deep thought. And some are a little bit slower than others. I'm sorry, it's just kind of how I feel. I think that his kid, Justin, I don't think that he's in danger of any deep thought in the near future. Yeah, I think that Happy Blow, you're probably right. Money is not going to fix these people's problems. Justice is the only thing that's going to start healing these victims. And hey, Shelly, a lot of times, I think that it does require some level of justice for these people to start to heal, right? I think that that's pretty legit. That said, what gets those wheels grinding, what gets that stuff moving forward is money, right? Honestly, it's that kind of. If it were not for Cassie's lawsuit, none of us would be having this conversation right now. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. A fellow back outer. It is terrible, isn't it? I've got I'm wired up right now for heat. I got a big heat thing wrapped around me. Laura Lee Smith, I'm glad that you caught a live as well. I really am. Yeah, justice is what we're looking for. I don't think any of these people are screaming for vengeance. I am. I'm not messed up about that either. I think that honestly, I think that there are people out here that need to yell about it, right? And I know that a lot of the people who are involved aren't going to be that voice. I'm always going to be that voice. Sorry, this guy's a low life. He needs to pay for what he's done. Why does everyone act like he's going to get some manageable years rather than a life sentence? Yeah, you know something? This is thank you, by the way, again. Thank you. Bev, you're right. There's a lot of people but this, you know what this gets back to? It gets back to the pundits. The same jackwagons last week that were saying, oh, no, he's going to get bail. You watch. They always give bail to people in this. They're not doing any of this stuff. They're not researching any of this. They're just, so when they go, well, he's facing 2 15-year sentences. No, he's not. No, he's not. The law says, right, coercion. What kind of coercion changes how much of a sentence you're getting? So if the coercion is cash, that's one sentence. If the coercion is fearing for their life, right? Fearing that you're going to beat the crap out of her, like Cassie trying to escape a freak off. That's a completely different sentence. This guy's looking at so much time, it's going to blow your mind. For real. Then toss in the pew-pews, toss in all of the drugs. This is not a good thing for our guy. For our guy. You haven't listened to anything about Sean Sissy? Okay, Tim. It's Sissy. I haven't heard that one in a while. They are men, Bev. You're right. They're not kids. We tend to say, so and so's children or so and so's kids, but they're definitely not. They're definitely not. They're not kids. They're adults. They're low lives. They're low lives. And they have fallen directly into line with what their dad does, right? I mean, sadly, that's the truth. Yeah, Christine, I don't blame you. This is an easy justice system to not have faith in because we've watched, especially as a nation, we've watched so many things happen that we go, oh, there's no justice in that. Here's the one thing that I do think it's important to remember. You've never, ever seen a federal trial. You haven't, right? Because they don't show them. So you've never actually, these are not the cases we get into because normally if we can't watch it on the inside, it takes a lot of the fun out of it. You know what I mean? Real as it gets, that wouldn't surprise me. Sorry, not sorry, but if Diddy was going to get bail or a bond, he would have been granted it already. And karma has finally arrived. Well, he's definitely, look, they're not going to let him get out on bail. And I think that they really overplayed their hand. You know what I'm saying? They really have overplayed their hand. And by that, I mean, all parties involved realize that this is such an important thing to them. This is more important than the case. Well, of course it is, because you can't win the case. This is your only shot at ever getting out. You overplayed your hand. And now there's no chance in hell they're ever going to allow him to get out because if it is, if they do, he's going to run. Yeah, Diddy. It's going to be very interesting to see how all of this plays out. There are going to be people like me sitting in a court listening to everything that happens, and then every time they take a recess, they're going to be running out and texting as fast as they can, or hitting record and saying, "This is what just happened." That's the only way we're going to watch this. But make no mistake, we are going to watch it. We are absolutely going to watch it because this is the greatest show on earth, and I'm sorry, but it's the truth. And it probably is not something we even need to apologize for anymore. This is the greatest show on earth. Why? Because we're so sick and tired of these elite pieces of crap getting away with what they get away with, and then giving us crap about it. You should pay more in taxes. Well, you go ahead and pay it. You're doing well, right? Donate more money. You got it. I'm tired of listening to everybody in Hollywood lecture us about morals while they're off having sex with children and videotaping it. I think the world's there. I think we're all really sick and tired of watching this crap. And for that reason, this is becoming very quickly the greatest show on earth. And no one's going to back off on this. No one's going to stop talking about it. No one's going to stop listening to it. No one's going to stop looking at it until we see this get burned to the ground, right? Or we realize that it's just another one of these and it's not going to change in any way, shape, or form. But until one of those two things happens, I don't think anybody's going to take their eyes off of this. That's my humble opinion. So when they talk about things like hunger strikes, we'll come here and at least try to give you an idea. This cat's not on a hunger strike. Right? You don't just stop eating. That's not a hunger strike. It takes a very long process. And if he goes that route, then they're going to lock his ass up while they watch what he eats or doesn't eat. And as he starts blowing that off, they are going to send him off to get tubes shoved down his nose and get fed. And I'll tell you what, it's not a fun way to get fed. I actually know this. Why do the feds not televise trials? Because they don't have to. Because they I don't think they want anybody to see what goes on inside their courtrooms because they write the rules as they go. I'm sorry, but I believe that. There's a 98.2% conviction rate for a reason. We're all afraid to go to trial. I've told you the story before. A guy was pleading guilty to a bank I robbed. How's that? There was a guy who was in the process of pleading guilty to a bank that I robbed. Josh, since 1996. All right. I don't know which Josh. Oh, okay. There you go. You're answering Josh. Sorry. Yeah, they don't televise trials because they don't have to and they're not going to. I think they cheat. There are people that will argue that with me, but I think that there's a reason that their conviction rate is as high as it is. Think about this for a second. If I decide I want to fight my case, right, I'm looking at 10 years. They say, Tommy, you plead guilty today, 10 years. And I go, I didn't do this, man. I'm going to fight this. I didn't do it. If I get convicted, I'm not going to get 10 years. If I decide to go to trial and I get convicted, I'm going to get 20 or 30. Well, that'll talk you right out of it, won't it? That'll talk you right out of going to court. It's not just, I'm not going to get justice. I'm going to get justice. They're going to give it to you 5 ways from Sunday. It's not just, here's what you're facing. No. We're going to make you pay for not taking it on the chin and smiling about it. The way the system is designed, when you plead guilty, they drop your offense level by 3 points. That's a massive change in time. Right there it is. So if all they did was to say, well, no, since you didn't plead guilty, you're gonna stay with, that's not what happens. It's not at all what happens. Because you decided to go to court, we're going to take your sentence and multiply it by 2, maybe 3. Does that sound fair to you? It isn't. I'm sorry. It's just not. But it is what it is. Look, I pled guilty every single friggin' time I pled guilty. I'm not stupid. If I had gone to trial and I had lost any of them, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. For real. I mean, I got a decade. If I had gone to trial and fought it and lost, I'd have gotten 30 years. We never would have met. Best case scenario, I would have gotten 20. It's a rigged system, people. It's completely stacked, and I don't think they want anybody looking at it. I don't think they want anybody else looking at it. Yeah, not so dumb blonde is right. We have social media now. The names that normally would not have come out are going to come out. They're going to get leaked, right? Freedom of Information Act. There's no point in hiding all this, right? We're going to FOIA the crap as soon as the trial is over anyway. The names are going to come out. There's no dodging it this time. I mean, they can pay money up front to keep their name out for the next 6 months. Doesn't matter. Eventually, everybody's names. What did Cat Williams say? 2024? I think if Cat could say it all over again, he would say 2024 and 2025 are going to be the years that all this truth comes out, man. Doesn't matter whether you're Diddy or TD Jakes or that stupid basketball player, who also thinks he's a king. See what I did there? See what I did there? Corner three. Corner three. All lies will be exposed. Right? TD Jakes. Bummer. Bummer. I will be doing a show later on today called Gone Baby Gone. Everybody taking off out of the good old US of A because of Trump or Diddy or what he didn't do. But I'll be doing that later today. Do come back. We're going to be putting up content between now and the 2nd of January. The content will be flying, people. We put up a hell of a lot of content during the holiday seasons. Why? Because the holiday seasons suck. If you happen to be alone this holiday season, don't be alone. Come and spend it on the lifeboat. I am the Admiral, and I will see you on the next one. Between now and the next time I see you, reach out and try to save somebody. We'll see you on the next one, Thieves. Bye-bye.